Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. I've muted everybody. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a quick discussion on the class. I want to see how you guys are doing, sort of set the foundation for the next couple of weeks, and then I'll give you guys some room for just general questions that you might have. So tomorrow I am leaving for Thailand, and I'll be away for 2 weeks. I'll try to manage the course as much as I can from there, but what I've done is I've activated week 3 already, because week 1, as you probably have seen already, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. All you need to do is listen to the Airbnb case, the podcast that's there. And the quiz will be just focusing on that. So we're moving away from the book this week, and then we're going to come back to it on module 3. So if you do the podcast and the quiz early on this week, then that gives you a couple of weeks to start working on the first part of your paper. Okay, so that's the intention behind it. I also want to give you information that's relevant to the class, not just stick to the book. The book is important, and I want you guys obviously to read it, because one of the objectives of this course is for you guys to just get comfortable with, business terminology and things of that nature. But I also want you to be able to apply. And applying means writing a paper on your idea and executing. Apply means to me to be able to break down a case, a real world case, and look at the challenges and see how other folks are solving those challenges. Okay. So with that said, any questions, any concerns, any complaints? Good. At least the faces that I'm looking at in the computer look like they're okay. And then I think somebody is sharing. I'm seeing Doug's screen. That shouldn't be happening. Let's see. All right. So if you have a question, now's the time. You have to unmute yourself, though, if you want to ask a question. Any concerns about the paper that's due soon?
Hi, this is Julie Thurman.
Hey, Julie.
Hi, when you say in what form or entity would you create your business, are you talking sole proprietorship versus LLC versus corporation?
All the above.
Okay.
Right. And I think the book does a really good job at sort of describing each individual entity and sort of the advantages and disadvantages of each one. As you're developing your idea, just keep in mind that whatever type of entity you pick, it may restrict or it may limit your operations down the line, right? So this just can't be, okay, I have my business is it's a photographer, right? So I have minimal risk, therefore I'm going to pick the sole proprietorship because it's just easy and economical according to the book. Right. But then you're like, yeah, and I want to expand and I want to get a studio and I want to invest $100,000 in it. Well, who's going to give you the money? How are you going to raise those funds? Right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So think a little bit long term. Don't just execute this part by itself. Look at the entire paper, and part 1 is going to make more sense when you actually start doing part 2. Right? Because then at that point, you're like, okay, well, how am I going to finance this? How am I going to market this product or service that I'm trying to launch? And I would encourage you all to just have fun with it, be creative, but creativity does have its limits sometimes. So, you know, if you want to do something huge, just, you know, you treat this idea as a startup, right? And there's a reason why startups have a high rate of failure, because they need funds and they lack expertise, and they need to build partnerships and relationships. They need to execute, fail, and then keep trying, and that's expensive and that takes time. So I'm not expecting you guys to, at the end of this class, say, I'm ready. I have a business plan and I'm going to go to the bank and I'm going to launch this. It would be great. I think the idea is for you to identify the challenges, and then again, to apply the theories that are written in the book. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it does.
And then when we get to part 2, you know, your idea is going to be magnificent, but then, you know, who wants to hire a photographer nowadays? Right? So yeah, I'm going to do this great idea. I spent hours doing this part 1, but then when I look at the numbers, I don't have a market. I don't have a market and I don't have a financial strategy. Therefore, even at launch, I'm done before I even launch. So it's okay for you to get it wrong in part 1. And when I say wrong, I'm not saying do a mediocre job. I'm saying you might go back to part 2 and say, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't fit. And I need to tweak it a little bit. And that's okay. All right. A few things. Make sure that you answer all the questions. Okay. I grade, but my academic coaches grade too. And they're looking for answers. They're looking at the questions that I post there and how you answer them. Don't cite Wikipedia or anything that's obviously not official, or you can't really cite it because it doesn't have a date and author. Go for reliable sources. And the foundation must be the book. Okay, I think in the syllabus, if you look at it, I've given you some sources, some links, or not links, but just sources that you might want to explore, that, you know, in the business community we use to acquire reliable information. And do that. There's plenty of stuff written there. You should be able to find something that's credible, reliable, and you'll be all right. And when it comes to business entities, the information's out there, right? But I want you to read the book, because if you're taking my class and you're spending $900 or more than that, why wouldn't you want to read the book and learn a little bit more about this, right? And so, yeah. And again, let me go back to the entity issue. And I don't mean to lecture. I really have to pack and get going, guys. And I'm sure you guys are ready to eat dinner. But think in terms of risk. Think in terms of what's convenient. Expenses are a big issue. A lot of companies start as a sole proprietorship, or they might even start as a partnership because they lack certain expertise in certain areas, right? Nobody's wakes up and says, I'm an accountant or I'm a marketer, right? Most entrepreneurs don't have a clue about any of this stuff. They just take the risk and they just go and they learn as they go. But if you want to calculate the risk, you say, well, hey, I need somebody to run the numbers. I'm not good at numbers, so I'm going to partner up with X, Y, and Z. And that individual might say, I'll partner with you, but with limited liability, right? And other folks might say, hey, let's join as a group and let's do an LLC, a limited liability corporation, right? Other folks might say, hey, you know, we need a lot of money. We need to sell stock, and let's just run a corporation. Obviously, you know, sort of the more benefits you get, and there's going to be a price that you're paying, and it always is going to depend on the you know, your industry, your business model, and your idea. So take the time again to be creative. you might want to bounce this idea with other people. And I think you should enjoy it, right? I mean, if anything in this class, the quizzes are horrible. I hate quizzing, right? It doesn't tell me anything about your capacity as an individual. I just have to do it because there's just no other way, right, to grade you guys. But to me, the most important thing about this class is for you to say, all right, let me read this stuff and let me figure it out. How if I in the real world have to apply this, how does it go? Okay. So I'm going to try to record a little podcast while I'm in Thailand so that you don't feel completely neglected by your professor. I can't guarantee it, but I'll try. I'm sure you tried to email me this weekend and you've noticed that I barely reply. I've been really busy. Molly, I replied to you. Molly is going to present some research for the class, so no pressure, right? And anyone who wants to do research in the class, and if you want to do an honors contract with me, you can, but you just have to present it in front of the whole class. So again, to the email question, it might take me a couple of days. For the next 48 hours, it takes me 30 hours to get to Thailand, and I'm just going to be unplugged for a while.
I do have a quick question about the paper.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I already have a very tiny small business.
Cool.
Do I use that for the paper, or should I just come up with something completely different?
Well, I mean, that's up to you, Michelle. I don't know. I didn't know that you had a business, right? And by the time that we're done, I'll forget about it. So yeah, you can use your own business. That's fine. I don't want you to use your own business and not learn anything about it.
Right.
Like, take this opportunity to say, let me do a SWOT analysis on my business. Let me look at the strengths, the weaknesses, that I have as a business. Let me look at the internal and external factors that are, creating challenges for me, and take advantage of this opportunity. That's what I would do if I were you. So as long as you're answering the questions, it doesn't matter.
Okay, perfect.
What matters to me is that you learn, period. That's it. How you get there, I really don't care. Well, maybe, okay, yeah. Don't. I had some students use a website. I went blank right now. Where there's just full of flashcards. And you can cheat and you can do all kinds of things there. I mean, you could get by and you could be mediocre. I'm not going to change mediocre people. I'm not going to change people that aren't ethical. I want to change culture in a way, and I want you guys to get excited and thrilled as I am for teaching you. But that's an individual choice. My quizzes are open book, guys. Right? Like, if you want to cheat, hey, that's your deal. Right? But I hope that the content of this class invites you to not do that. I mean, you only get one shot at taking an introduction to business class. And if you're a real entrepreneur, you want to know this stuff. If you're taking this class, it's because, either we require it, or you're really into the content and you want to do something in the future. A lot of people might underestimate your capacity because you're in an intro level class right now. They might say, well, it's too early for them to be creating a business and to be, exploring all these concepts. And I say, bull, right? Like, that's not true. You guys are all smart, all capable individuals, and all you need is a little push. Now, I'm not applying a lot of sticks. I'm applying more carrots than sticks in this class. So I really think that's important for you guys to be comfortable and to have fun with this, right? And I don't know if in Moodle I can convey that message or not, and that's why I'm doing a Zoom session, so that you get what I'm trying to do with the class. and that we create an atmosphere of trust so that if you have a question, and hopefully it's not just a question about instructions and rubrics and all that things of that nature, but just a question in general, that you feel comfortable talking to me.
Can your business be one even on a lower level than, say, a sole prop? I'm an independent consultant for a company, and I'm 1099 by that company.
All right. Well, Julie, great question. Define what a business is.
I think it's where you spend your time and attention to grow your industry in order to make money. I suppose that'd be a very simple answer.
Okay. So the definition that I like to use is the one that it says that a business is an organized entity, an organized effort, right, to create value, right? To create value, and as you're creating value, you're generating profit. If you're a business student taking this course, you will be asked this a million times. What is the number one priority of a business? Is to make profit, right? But to make profit, you need to create value, right? And obviously you can sell cookies in the street and not be an organized entity, right? So to answer your question, no, I want you to be an organized entity.
Fair enough. That's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay. And there are many ways that you can do that, Julie, even as a consultant. And you should actually take a look at that and see how you can, create more business opportunities for you, because there's a lot of business out there that doesn't want to do business with individuals. They want to do it with a corporation or an entity that has some type of liability. And the banks do as well, right? For financing purposes, they might feel more comfortable if your assets and liabilities are transparent in some sort of way. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. I know you're hungry. I know it's almost time for dinner, but come on, people. You're good? Awesome. Well, look, I'm thrilled and honored and excited to teach this class, and I look forward to talking to you guys. I might send an email early next week to see if we can do this again while I'm in Thailand. If it gets too complicated, then we'll just do it, when I get back, hopefully days before part 2 is done, to make sure that we're on the same page. And, I'm sure questions will arise once you actually start writing the paper. Take a look, read the instructions carefully, and then shoot me an email, and I'll do my best to answer you as soon as I can. Okay. All right. Well, I wish you a great week. Good luck. Enjoy the podcast, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Safe travels.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.